welcome to this edition of Inside the Humidor, and it is a special treat. We have, drum roll? Can I get a drum roll or something? Enrique Sanchez of 1502 Cigars. He's actually in the building. And Fred Rewey of Nomad Cigars. Can't believe these two made it all the way to Moon Township to visit us inside the Humidor. What do you think about that, Ed?
It's a great day for us.
Absolutely a great day. They got to get them to sign the wall, right?
That's right. They'll have to sign the ceiling.
Well, there's not going to be a ton of drinking in this one, I guess, and not a lot of talk about Perdomo cigars, so I know Ed's going to be a little put off by that. But
I'm not even smoking on this guy.
He's not even smoking. He's out of his element. So we're going to ask these guys a bunch of questions about random things, about their brands, about where they're from, and why they're involved in cigars and in the industry. I don't know what else to say, so let's bring them out.
Let's get to it.
Let's get to it.
Welcome back. Second segment of Inside the Humidor.
Wait, I'm not ready. Hold on. Sorry. Hold on. Cut and that's good. Okay. All right. Wait. All right. Okay. Go. And yeah.
right.
Okay. Now I'm ready.
And we're back.
All right. Start
And
over.
we're back. Inside the Humidor with Fred Rewey of Nomad Cigars. Welcome to Moon Township.
Thank you.
Welcome
Thank
to
you
the
very much.
smokestack.
Where am I?
The smokestack in Moon Township.
No, I knew it's not. Okay. All right. Moon Township.
Yeah,
Okay.
we
Got
won't
it.
make
Got it.
moon jokes.
I appreciate that. I don't even know where that goes, but I don't even want to know where that goes.
Oh, but
Thanks to the cameraman. Mad props to the cameraman too.
That's
for
right.
The,
That's right.
For the apple juice.
No, I don't think that is.
That apple juice has gone bad. That apple juice has seriously gone bad. For anybody at home, by the way, particularly minors, we are adults, and it is currently 10 at night, so we can drink.
That's right. That's right. We can.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So, how did you end up getting in this business?
You know, I was on a cruise boat, and it seemed like a good day at the time, and we hit an iceberg, and then that wasn't even me, that was a movie, I'm sorry. Yeah, my bad. I'm just making fun of Josh, he hasn't seen Titanic, so I heard, so he hasn't seen anything, so I had to work that in at some point.
As we said previously.
So I'm just going to hijack. So tell me about not seeing any movies. What's the issue
I've
there?
seen movies. I just only watch good movies.
Okay, all right.
Oh, wait a minute.
Well, wait, hold on. We are stopping, momentarily pausing for a second. So the secret to my blendings in the hair. Stop
As we
that.
found earlier, the secret to all
It's
of,
the Samson
of his
thing.
strength is.
Okay, now we are going to stop the show for just a second, though. So, what is your favorite movie then?
I'm not the one on fire here. I don't know. I
It
don't
was
like
a silent
movies that
picture.
much, so.
Good thing you don't do the speed round.
Yeah, I'd be in trouble. It
So,
wouldn't be very speedy.
all right, enough. So, honestly, what started me is that I smoked cigars probably for about 12 years before I started. I was a cigar fan long before I ever started a brand. Still a raving cigar fan. I love it. I love going into humidors and finding new stuff. I love finding the old stuff that's like, wow, I can't believe they still have this. So I just always enjoyed cigars. And I smoke with several manufacturers just that are friends, and they're like, well, when are you going to start your own line? When are you going to start your own line? And I'm looking around the humidors going, God knows we don't need another cigar company. So I've kind of always taken a lot of hobbies or interests, and they've kind of morphed into a business. So I thought, I'm a zero generation Cuban. It's not like, I'm from Wisconsin. I don't have this like pedigree of growing up as a kid and rolling cigars at 14 months old or anything like that. So I kind of just said, well, I like cigars, so if nothing else, I'm going to go down to Dominican Republic and just see the process. Just if nothing else, as a cigar fan, it was going to be fun. And then I went down and I saw the people. Later went over to Nicaragua, and it's funny. I remember, excuse me, I remember hearing a story a long time ago by a manufacturer that talks about. He was talking about the people, and kind of the heart on their sleeve, and how passionate they were. And I remember hearing that, thinking, wow, that's a great marketing pitch. That's all real good, and we love you.
Right.
We're going to buy your cigars.
Right.
And when I went down there, it's really true.
Yes.
So my philosophy from the very beginning, which ended up working very well, was that, one, just check the ego at the door. You go down there, I don't care how long you've been smoking cigars, I don't care how many articles you read, I don't care how many reviews, I don't care what you learned about tobacco out of a book. You go down there and it's in their DNA. And for me, I went down there and, like I said, check the ego at the door and learn everything you can. And in the first year, basically, they kind of ignore you. I mean, you're paying them, so they're obviously, a certain level of interest. Yeah. But they're just kind of like helping you out a little bit, and here you go play with some tobacco. And then later, when they saw that I was really passionate about it and I was really getting into it, they really started helping a lot, and they really started kind of pointing you in the directions and guiding you and saying, if you're playing with this, take a look at this or whatever. Try, go look at this field here and see what it's like and things like that. So it just kind of slowly stacked. I started the first cigar out of the Dominican Republic, and it was basically somebody kind of handed it to me. Here's a factory, and they've been around for a little while, and play with the different stuff they had. But largely, I was leaning on them and saying, this kind of cigar I like, and it just kind of grew. I mean, the first batch was like, well, I've got enough cigars for me and the rest of my family and all my friends for the rest of my life if it doesn't work. Yeah. And then I went over to Nicaragua because after I had the cigar, and it was doing pretty well, but when you have one cigar, you're kind of like, it's like going to a restaurant with one food. You're like, well, either you want this or you don't. Mm-hmm. And so everybody's like, oh, you got to go to Nicaragua. You got to see the tobacco there. There's 4 distinct regions. It's a playground of tobacco. And then I went over there, and then I was almost overwhelmed at first. I mean, so I literally went with Noel Rojas, who's a friend of mine who has Guayacán, and we literally went and just bought a bunch of tobacco. And we just started going, and we just started rolling up just that tobacco and writing down notes, and then started blending cigars. And now, today, I mean, we have 5 full production blends, 3 in Nicaragua, 2 in Dominican Republic. And, I think that my success in such a short time was largely due to not willing to sacrifice the quality of tobacco or construction for any money. I figure, I told my wife in the very beginning, it's like, well, if I make money 5 years from now, great. Otherwise, I'm going to do it this way. So my margins are pretty much lower than just about anybody. But I also know that I have higher quality tobacco than some other people in the industry as well. And I think that's really resonated well with the consumer. I've blended every cigar that I like. And until such time that I learn about that tobacco, I haven't blended the cigar. So the C276, which is, that was probably the most difficult cigar because I wanted a fuller bodied cigar, but I wanted a lot of flavor. And my style of blending is I never blend for strength is like the least of my worries. I'm blending for flavor and then seeing where the strength falls. Now, I did want a fuller bodied cigar because I'm thinking, well, if I have a big steak dinner, I want a fuller bodied cigar. So how far can I push the strength without sacrificing flavor? And then how much complexity or flavor could I add to the cigar? So the C276 actually ended up with 5 different tobaccos in the filler, 2 Ligeros, both Condega and Esteli, and also Ometepe tobacco in it. So it was just kind of layer after layer after layer. And now the blending's just a blast. We just kicked off our blending seminars recently, which have gone really well, which I call hacking the blend. I mean, anything else would have been pretentious. I mean, I can't pretend that I'm like, like I said, this know-it-all, because every time I get an answer to a question, I've got 3 more questions now. So the seminar, we actually take 3 small cigars, and I base it off the 8613, which is the most recent one. And that has 1 cigar, there aren't any wrappers on it. One's just Jalapa, one's just Condega Ligero, and one's just Ometepe, and everybody smokes each of those individually. Yeah. And then we smoke the final cigar with the wrapper so they can see kind of how I do it. And the way that came about was really, I was talking to a retailer that didn't understand blending, didn't understand, well, how do you blend, and what's your process in there. And I kept explaining that I tried to learn all the tobaccos and the flavors and all the stuff individually, and he still didn't get it. And so I said, well, look, I said, have you had cornflakes? He's like, well, yeah, I've had cornflakes. And I said, well, have you had a raw onion? He says, well, yeah, I've had a raw onion. And I said, well, I don't need to make you a bowl full of cornflakes and onions to have you for an idea what it's going to taste like. And that's how I approach the blends. And so I think everything in half leaves. So I'll just go, give me a half leaf of this, half leaf of this, full leaf of this, put it all together, you smoke it, like, wow, that didn't work out at all. Take that back out, start over, and that's how I do it.
So you just start rounding up tobaccos, throw them together, and see what you get, or do you start with like a wrapper in mind, or like with the 8613, where did you start? Like, what was the first piece of the puzzle to get set?
8613, I had come off the C276, So I actually blended both those simultaneously,
Okay.
which wasn't the plan. But what happened was I was kind of getting into a dividing line when I was blending, and I was liking where both of them were. So then I just split it into two different blends completely. What I wanted in the 8613 is I wanted something that was a little more rustic and was really showcasing all three of those tobaccos in a balance that I found to be pretty unique for myself that I liked on the palate.
Okay.
And
Very nice cigar.
Thank you. And I honestly didn't know if anybody'd like it. I mean, I'm like, wow, I really like the cigar, and I gave it to a couple master blenders and a couple manufacturers, and said, you know, this is something I'm playing with. Try it. And by the time I got around to giving it to them, I was pretty much done. But I'm going to say playing with, because otherwise I look stupid, you know. I mean, if it's really bad, then they're like, wow, this sucks. But they all came back and they said, no, this is a really, really interesting blend.
It is. That's what I'm smoking right now.
So for those at home that might not know, what's the number, like the numbers for your things, for your blends? Where does those come from?
Oh, the secret numbers?
Yeah, the impossible to remember numbers.
So well, the story is that basically it's kind of like a Dan Brown novel in the making. So I'll tell you what the numbers are, then I'll tell you why it's that way. So the first one I did in Nicaragua is called the S307. It's a box press Sumatra. So S is for Sumatra, 307 is the square miles of Esteli.
Okay.
So the C276, since I used Ometepe tobacco in there, the C is for Concepcion, which is the active volcano on Ometepe Island. 276 is the square kilometers of the island.
Okay.
I was going to do miles, but that's 107, and I obviously wasn't going to do that to Guillermo and put a 107 out, so it just didn't make sense. The 8613, it's the Esteli lot 8613, which there's kind of two reasons to that, but the 86 is longitude, 13 is the latitude of Esteli.
Okay.
So that makes it seem like I've got this cool numbering system. The reality is, every time I was searching for a name that I came up on trademark, someone had it taken. So I'm just like, well, screw it. Nobody's got these number things, so it just kind of stuck. And I mean, look, I'm going to say what I did right. I'm going to say what I did wrong. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I mean, I like to tell you it was like this cool plan, but like, I mean, literally every night I'm like, seriously, you got who would register this name? You know, over and over again. So I'm like, screw it. I'm just going to put out numbers.
It feels a little Dan Brown-esque, or like National Treasure 3 is coming out featuring Fred Rewey cigars.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. The next one, by the way, the next Nicaraguan does not actually have a number system to it. It's an actual name. So I know it's gonna freak people out. It's like J.K. Rowling, you know, probably writing something other than Harry Potter. I mean, it's just, you know, but the name that I have that I can't say today, but we actually filed for the trademark for it, and it's one of those names that I'm like, I can't believe nobody has ever had this name. So my trademark attorney says, well, no, I think the trademark people are going to turn it down. And I'm like, why would they turn it down? He tells me, I'm like, well, do it anyway, so we'll see. But if they turn it down, I'm still going to use the name. That means nobody got it, so who cares? I'll be the first one to use the name. If I get the trademark, it's like such the perfect name for Cigar World. I'm like, I can't believe nobody had this name.
Well,
so we'll see.
Now I'm excited to hear about it.
Great.
Yeah. Well, you'll have to wait for the movie.
Did you hear your friend here? 1501?
1501.
I own 1501 and 1503, so that's why Enrique was kind of stuck with the two.
Wow. So then who is making your cigars in the Dominican Republic?
Dominican Republic, is a gentleman named Victor, who was with Davidoff for about 23 years. He started his own factory, I want to say about 12 years ago, in Tamboril, just outside Santiago, which everybody's in Tamboril. There's like a million factories in there.
Right.
Maybe not a million, maybe like 500,000. And, you know, I've had since working with him, he did the original one. He also did the Connecticut Fuerte with me.
Very
and
nice
yeah, thank you. The construction is just amazing. The blends I'm really good with, and so now the big guys roll around later. Now that, you know, I'm in the magazines and the reviews have been good, I'm like, hey, come on over to our factory. You know, we can make them cheaper. We can do this. We got more tobacco, whatever it may be. And the fact of the matter is like these are the guys that brought me to the dance. I never have a construction issue. When I first started, and especially that first blend, everybody was commenting on the construction. Obviously the blend as well, but they're just like, wow, it's flawless, it's razor. I mean, I got people with photos with the ash like that, and I just can't leave those guys. I really can't. I mean, they brought me to the dance, and I'm very loyal to them. And he's a very, very talented individual that's pretty much off the radar for everybody, and I just soon keep it that way.
Yeah. Yeah.
I will say when we got the 8613 in, we sat down and we said we got to do a review of this bad boy. We sat down and smoked it, and I think about halfway through I looked around and everybody just had perfectly razor sharp burns, nice long solid ashes on there. So I mean, construction was something I think we all noticed.
Yeah, and the three
Well, that's an AJ.
Yeah, the three
Fernandez.
Nicaraguans are actually out of AJ Fernandez factory. So when I first went down to Nicaragua, I did an LE called the 1386 with Noel. And that was actually just an accident, is that we were playing with tobacco. We found two very unique bales of Ligero that we thought, well, let's go make a cigar out of it. We'll play around. And then I just decided to release the LE because we're like, wow, this is really good. So we did an LE. We did 500 boxes or 450 boxes. I kept 100 for myself. Sold out the rest of them right away, and then I slowly leaked out some of the other ones. Retailers called me going, come on, don't you have 2 more boxes? And I'm like, oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah, we whine a lot, don't we?
Yeah,
Retailers.
yeah, they do. But that's okay, you know, I'll make more. But I couldn't make more of that one anymore. So when I went back there, I tried to think of, okay, who did I want to work with? And obviously a lot of people go over to Plasencia or some other places. But I was a big fan, and again, first and foremost a fan.
Right.
I was a big fan of the San Lotano Oval when it came out. I just thought, wow, this is unique. I liked the cigar. I liked that it was a different shape. So I was able to I called up, I talked to a colleague in the industry, well, higher than me, I can't say colleague, but higher than me, and I said, can you get me a meeting with them? And they got a meeting with me, and at the time, AJ really wasn't really working with boutiques. He did his own stuff and the stuff for CI and things like that. So I got the meeting, and in the meeting, it was pretty clear to me that it was going to be a no. It was pretty clear that they were going through the motions of the meeting, and I, you know, there was some questions and going back and forth, and AJ was asking about sizes, and he's, you know, what do you think of the sizes? And I'm like, I'm thinking of doing an oval. And he doesn't know me, so he's like looking at me, but, you know, but we burst laughing, and then one thing led to another. We made the first cigar, and so I've been the quality's been great. I mean, it's been a great. The access to tobacco is amazing. For a guy that young, with the skill set that he has, I mean, if you start talking about, you know, who the great blenders are, or you know, we're really typically in a higher age group, considerably by 20, 30 years than AJ. And so where he could be, where he is now, but also where he could be in 10, 15 years, I'm like,
almost
wow.
frightening.
Yeah, and I don't get the ability, I can't put out a bad cigar. You know, I don't get a get out of jail free card, you know, so I've got to make sure that there's certain things I don't have to worry about. Construction, quality tobacco, you don't blend it and they change the blend on you, you know, but they don't tell you. I mean, it's been a really good relationship. I'm really happy with that factory, really happy with the passion and also the learning experience out of there.
Great, great. We're enjoying the results of that
Thank you.
passion
Thank you.
And the way that you're able to work with these factories. We currently carry, these are your 3 Nicaraguans.
Yes. Yeah.
That we carry, and we don't have any of your Dominicans right now, so I suppose
I can help you with that.
That's
I know.
something that-
I know people.
I
know
I
people.
think
I've got
that-
people.
I think there's a fellow that makes his living selling your cigars that might
He
be
does,
interested in
and
that
he
also.
does a very good job. I'm not going to mention his name because if he quits or something, then we'll always assume it's the same guy.
That's right.
You know.
Yeah, we could do that.
Well, let's hit you with some of the nonsensical questions here. Get some insight into the life of Fred Rewey.
Oh, God, nobody wants that.
Limited or not, what's your favorite cigar that you like to smoke out of your line?
Out of my own line, you know, boy, it's like picking a favorite child. You have one, but you don't really want to say it. Now, I only have one daughter, so that's easy. But I would say, you know, look, the cop-out answer is it's always your latest blend. So I'm not going to do that to you. I would probably say, because of what it took to make, I would say if you're somebody that likes a fuller profile, the C276.
Okay.
I mean, it really is a massively complex cigar. It's one that when I gave to a master blender that I respect, that everybody knows in the industry, had him smoke it. He was about halfway through it, and he looked at me and he says, basically it was in Spanish, but the equivalent is you're allowed to sit at the big kids table now. You know, so
Yeah,
to
which
me
is
that
great.
was the one that really was there. But I mean, I like them all for different times of the day.
Okay.
But yeah, I would say the C276 is the one I'm most proud of because I was in Nicaragua for 2.5 months
Yeah.
working, and so look, I see a lot of guys fly down and go to a factory and they give them a couple cigars and hey, pick out your cigar, great, we'll throw a band on it, you're in the industry. What makes me different than some of them, not all, some people are working very, very hard. I'm down there learning everything I can. So that cigar in particular was kind of a maddening journey of, no, I want more flavor, I want more layers, I really want it to be an experience. And I felt that being, you know, pretty much the third blend, it's like you have something to prove. I mean, it's like, you know, okay, good, you knocked out a couple good cigars, but
Can you do it again?
can you really do it again? Can you really kind of cut your chops on being a blender?
Gotcha.
And that was fun.
Cool. What's your as a cigar fan? What's your favorite cigar that you don't make?
You know, I gravitate towards a lot, so it's difficult for me to say any one cigar. It's funny, I did an interview one time that they asked me something very similar. So what do you smoke when it's not your own? And I rattled off like 5 blends and brands and stuff like that, and they were dead quiet. And I'm looking at them thinking, oh man, I just screwed up someone's name or blend or something like that. And they're like, well, no, manufacturers just say, no, they only smoke their own stuff. It's the best.
Okay.
And I honestly think that they're either naive or lying, one of the two. There's a lot of great cigars. So in answer to your question, I smoke pretty much anything that Eladio at Davidoff puts his name on. So he does the new Davidoffs, he does the Avos and things like that. Big fan of Dion and what he does with Luzion. I think he's got an incredible palate. I think that he has something in mind of what he goes for, and every one of his cigars are distinctly different.
Okay.
I think that's really good. You know, there's a couple of boutique guys out there right now that, you know, I like what Enrique's done a lot. I really like, you know, it's the guys that are willing to play with the tobacco and do something different.
Okay.
Sam Lucia, I've always, you know, throughout his career, I've always been interested to see what he does. Jose Blanco, when the Señorial was coming out, I was really excited to see what he did out on his own. Like I said, I'm a cigar fan, so you know, when I'm not blending, it's my favorite time because I can go out and try all the cigars I haven't been able to try for a while.
Do you have a
Herrera
favorite
Esteli,
Vitola?
by the way, Herrera Esteli is
yeah.
definitely
Those are very
a
good.
big fan of that.
Okay. Do you have a favorite Vitola?
You know, I probably now, it's easy because it's not a value issue for me. I mean, I can get the cigars. I tend to like a 5x50 a lot.
Okay.
If I really like the blend, if they come out with a Lancero, I'm really curious to try the Lancero or a Lonsdale. But I tend to gravitate towards a smaller ring gauge, a 5x50,
Okay.
5x52, you know, a Robusto or something like that.
Right.
Okay. And well, what's your favorite movie? Since you were giving me crap earlier.
I'd probably say Shawshank Redemption.
Shawshank Redemption.
It's probably the first movie that I ever, and you haven't seen it, so you don't know. But
no,
it's probably the first movie that I ever saw that I walked out of the theater and I wanted to like go back in and hear the story again because it was narrated so well that I'm just like, it's just a really cool story.
Okay.
You know, except for the rape scenes, that's not a very cool part. But I mean, you know, but the rest of the movie is really good.
Okay.
And so you'll have to see that.
Yeah, I might get around to that one day. Probably not. We'll see. All right. What's your favorite candy bar?
Favorite candy bar? Wow, that's a good question. What's the one with the toffee in it?
The Heath bar?
Yeah, Heath bar, which as a kid you don't eat because you're like, well, that's just not a lot of candy bar for the money.
Right.
I mean, you're going Three Musketeers, you're going for Mass, you're going for. I like Heath bars, Twix bar, you know, something like that.
Light beer.
Almond Joy.
Okay.
Sometimes you feel like a nut.
Yeah. All right. Would you rather be allowed to smoke infinite Dutch Masters or one Nomad a month?
I would go one Nomad.
You'd go with one Nomad a month?
I would go one Nomad a
Yeah?
month. Yeah. You could have went.
Oh boy, that's that could really make you.
See, I think I would almost go infinite Dutch Match just because I like to have a cigar in my hand. But not
no.
against Nomad or with any cigar. I'd rather be allowed to smoke as much as I want than one a month.
And nothing.
wow.
Look, look, I'm not one of those guys that cares what someone smokes. I mean, I know guys in my industry that there's like, oh my God, I can't believe you're smoking that flavored cigar or that cigar that's $2 cigar. Look, if you like a $2 cigar and that's good for you, man, more power to you. I wish I liked a $2 cigar.
Well,
I mean, so I'm not one of those purists as far as that's concerned. I really don't care.
Would you do the same thing? One a month?
Yeah, I probably
I have a
would.
hard time envisioning an Ed Brandy Bear that only smokes one cigar a month.
Well, just because I smoke 3 to 8 a day now.
Well, there's
I
a
mean,
question. How
it's-
many cigars do you smoke a day?
You know, that's not
On
really a
average.
question I would know. I don't know.
No,
I
just-
mean,
you
I
just
smoke,
smoke when
I
you wanna
smoke 2,
smoke?
3 probably. You know,
Okay.
unless you're my insurance agent, then I mean the occasional.
An occasional
No,
smoker,
no,
of
actually, no. My insurance actually says I smoke. So I probably. It depends on the day. I'll have. You know, I'll probably. I mean, sometimes 1, sometimes 2.
Okay.
But
Yeah, a day like today, we're all going to smoke a lot of cigars.
Exactly.
Yeah,
if it's event oriented, then I'm having several. If, you know, but then I'll go a period of time where I won't have too many.
Is it pretty intense when you're working on blending? I mean, are you smoking like parts of cigars, or like, how does that like? Are you just smoking nonstop? Like
No,
trying to get
it's a
fades and
lot of
stuff?
parts of cigars.
Okay.
It's a lot of
A lot of
parts of cigars.
burritos.
Well, like I'll do 5x50s usually when I'm blending.
Okay.
And then if I kind of like the blend, I'll go, okay, give it to me in Toros and stuff like that. But for me when I'm blending, you don't have to smoke the whole thing, because if you've already decided you don't like it,
Yeah.
there's no point in keep going.
Right.
So you'll have a table that'll have a bunch, but they'll all be smoked like a little bit like that until you start narrowing down on the blend. Once I've narrowed down the blend and I think I'm there and I've got 5 or 6 of them, then I'll say, okay, roll them all, lay them all down, and then I'll start smoking them 45 days later.
Okay.
And go, okay, where are they? And then hopefully you've got.
Have you gotten to that point 45 days later and decided, nah, this isn't it, and going back and
Oh,
tweak
yeah.
stuff further?
Yeah, I have. Yeah, that's usually pretty depressing. It usually happens when I'm actually normally I'm better than not. You know, for whatever on my palate, you know, I'm usually a lot closer than I think some other people are. But if it's a foreign tobacco to me, I don't know how it's going to play out. I've been playing with San Andreas a lot lately and broadleaf, and you know, a year and a half ago I didn't have the ability to blend that. So until I fully understand how that tobacco plays out after laying down, it's very difficult for me. So when it's a new, radically new wrapper or radically new tobacco, then yeah, which is why I try to come in with 6 or 7 or 5 or 6, just, you know, and okay, I think this is it, and see how they play out.
We've had some cigars come in lately that have Costa Rican tobacco and Colombian tobacco. Have you got a chance to play around with that stuff
I have
yet?
not, I've played around with a little bit, but I'm nowhere near understanding it.
Okay.
I mean, like I said, a year ago, everybody's like, well, when are you going to have a Maduro? When are you going to have a Maduro? I'm like, as soon as I learn how to play with Maduros.
Yeah.
Well, we're getting the signal, I think. What's to anybody that hasn't smoked?
What's the signal? 2. No gang signs. What is that? Are we done? That's it?
2 minutes.
2, that's it?
That's
the
it.
whole show?
That's the whole
Yeah,
thing.
that's it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But for anyone that just now heard about Nomad, what would you say to them? Why should they try a Nomad cigar?
You know, I mean, it's easier now that I finally have a full portfolio. You know, what I would say is basically that I really appreciate people giving us an opportunity. I really think, and this isn't just Nomad, this is just boutiques in general. I mean, any industry moving forward, and particularly the cigar industry, the cigar smoker has access to the best cigars in the world than they've ever had at any other point in time.
Agreed.
Look, guys like me, guys like Enrique, you know, other boutique guys, we're really trying to push the envelope. We're really trying to play with the tobacco, and it means a lot, you know. And it's funny. I was talking to somebody recently, a big manufacturer that, you know, he says, well, you know, you're on Twitter and you respond to these people, and the guy only buys 3 cigars a week, and it doesn't move the needle. And I'm like, you know, if a guy walks into Humidor and he buys 3 cigars a week, and one of them is my cigar, that guy just spent 1/3 of his budget on my cigar.
Right.
Yeah, it's not going to move the needle for me, but enough of those guys add up, and I still appreciate that he found that to be a cigar that he wants. For me, it's a little easier now because I have a full portfolio. If you like full, I've got a cigar. If you like medium, I've got 2 cigars. If you like mild, I've got another cigar. So I think the big thing I would say to anybody who's trying Nomad is that, you know, I mean, my biggest battle is really just try one, because there's so many choices. You walk in and you're looking all over and like,
Right.
gosh, what do I try? So I just say give it a shot, you know, and look me up on Twitter. It's at Godfather, GODFADR, or go on Facebook, Nomad Cigar Company. Sign up for my stupid email that I can't believe people read.
I will say my first exposure to Fred here was on Twitter, and after a couple days, like, okay, this guy's a nut. Let's see if he's that way in person. And it only took me 5 minutes to go, okay, yeah, this is the guy. He doesn't have somebody running his
No, it's, you know what? It's just fun for me. It's just,
Yeah, it is.
Look, I'm having a good time. Like I said, I don't have the fancy pedigree, and I'm never going to have that knowledge. And I lean on people that know more than me, which is pretty much everybody in those countries.
If you're honest, you do that anyhow.
Yeah, I think so. And look, it was a hobby that turned into a business. I'm overwhelmed that so many people have gravitated towards it. So I would just say, look, I mean, talk to your retailer, find out what's in your wheelhouse, and give it a shot. And I mean, I have been unsacrificing on tobacco, unsacrificing on the construction, and look, I'm trying to put out a really, really good cigar and make a difference, and so far it's worked.
Well, I think you're succeeding. It's
Thank
a
you.
very good product line. We can recommend Nomad. Thank you for watching this segment
I don't even know which camera I'm supposed to look at.
Inside the Humidor. We want to thank you for watching this episode of Inside the Humidor with Enrique Sanchez and Fred Rewey.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you for being with us. You may
I should just start the first one?
Yeah.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Salgan adelante a quemar uno.
For those that don't speak Spanish, go out and burn one.
We hope you've enjoyed this episode of Inside the Humidor. Just remember that we have 1502 cigars, Nomad Cigars, at the Smokestack in Moon Township. You know, all these cigars are under $10 a stick. And I'm telling you, the quality of the cigar that you're going to get when you buy a Nomad cigar or a 1502 cigar is right up there with any other cigar you've ever smoked or are going to smoke. And you'll have everything from a mild, medium cigar up to a full-bodied cigar. Both of these gentlemen have made cigars that will meet any palate, any kind of taste. I think that you should come into the Smokestack, try these, and I don't think you'll be disappointed. I want to thank you again. If you have a question for us, you can reach us at info@smokestackpgh.com, or you can also contact one of us by calling the store at 412-375-7627. We thank you again for watching this episode of Inside the Humidor. Is that all right?
Did you
That was
forget
a
the
little-
tagline?
No, they did.
No,
Go out there and burn.
No,
We already did it. We already did it.
Spanish
In
and
Spanish
English.
and English.
All right.